Welcome back to another edition of Husker Huddle here, presented by Sapp Brothers, where they say, welcome, be our guest. Today we're honored to be joined by former Nebraska Cornhusker, All-American DB, Prince Amukamara. Prince, how are you doing, my friend?
Just trying to survive this Vegas heat, man.
I feel you on that, man. We're excited. You signed the one-year deal out in Vegas this year. This is what, year 11 for you now?
Dude, don't age me, man. 10.
10, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Sue's in year 11.
Yeah, Sue's in 11. You're in 10. I mean, that's double digits, man. That's nothing to shake a stick at. You've had a great NFL career. I was lucky enough to get to play against you in Chicago a few times when I was up there with the Vikings. But 10 years, man, what are some things that, as you look back on these 10 years, that you reflect on and really felt that helped you learn and grow as a player?
Man, I think the number one thing, it just has to be taking care of my body. As soon as I got into the league, I was told to find a pro, kind of see how they're doing things and see what they're doing right and take things from them. And that's what I did. Like my first 5 years at the Giants, I got to see guys play 9+ and just seeing the importance of stretching, sleep, nutrition. I mean, as much as I don't like it, still cold tub and stuff like that. Just learning, just trying to get a routine, a regiment going, and then off season, we don't have Dobson, on our neck. So just knowing how to, if you guys don't know who Dobson is, Dobson was our strength coach, yep. Who's awesome, by the way. And so now it's do I go to a performance spot, or since I've been lifting my whole life, I kind of know my body and I kind of know what I need. So just having a good routine in the off season as well.
How do you manage that? Where is off season? Where do you guys go, you and your family? I mean, how does that work for you guys?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've kind of just been doing it on my own. Sometimes I go to these cool performance spots. I mean, just to kind of network, see other players and maybe learn from that performance spot and seeing what they do. But for the most part, I'm just at my high school and I'm just lifting and I'm just running and doing stuff by myself. I love playing basketball, so I play that in the off season, and that's a form of cross training. It works a different type of conditioning and stuff like that. But I feel like it's good for a DB because I'm sliding, I'm staying in front of the defender, and and I'm working those motions and stuff. But because I've learned to train by myself and not rely on a trainer to kind of put me through a workout. So when COVID hit and stuff like that, I just stayed on my same routine. I didn't need anybody. I was independent.
Right. I mean, so I know that most professional athletes, or any athlete at any elite level, is very routine based, and this year has been anything but routine. So that's got to be big that you didn't have that. But how has this year been with no OTAs, especially going to a new team? You signed the one-year deal out there with the Raiders. How has this transition been for you, where you're really not going to step on the field for these guys for the first time until basically day one of training camp?
I loved it. Personally, personally for me and where I'm at in my career, I think, like you said, playing 10 years, cover one is cover one, cover two is cover two, cover three is cover three. The only thing that changes is the language. And so the Zoom calls, they helped a lot and stuff like that. But for me in my position, I feel like I enjoyed it. And you always hear that OTAs or the whole off training season besides minicamp is optional, quote unquote. So, yeah. But no one would ever do that because you would kind of you'd be looked at as you're laying down your team or you act like you're bigger than the team. So to kind of experience that, no off season, and to kind of have this quote unquote this extended break with your family and stuff like that. I mean, I think it was awesome for me. Like I
Yeah.
said.
One of my favorite quotes is, I'll never forget, Coach Bo, I think you were still here for this, where we were talking about the summer program, because as you know, the summer program at Nebraska is also voluntary. And I remember Coach Bo stood up in front of the room and he goes, yeah, you guys can all volunteer to not be here, but then you're going to volunteer to not play in the fall. And I think that's just kind of how Bo ran it, and that's how a lot of NFL programs run it too. I mean, there's a few guys that can miss here and there that aren't going to take dings, but probably 90% of the guys are going to be there every day showing up for OTAs. Well, Prince, with this little break and this extended break that you had, do you feel like you're more hungry to get back to football? Like, do you miss it versus kind of, I know there's always that dread to get to camp where it's kind of that like gray cloud hanging over. A lot of the guys that I've been talking to, Spencer, Quali, are like, no, I'm like ready, like more ready than I've been in the past to get back into football.
I think I was already hungry before, just with how this offseason went for me, like being released from Chicago and signing a one year deal to Las Vegas. So I mean, I think I've always had a chip on my shoulder. So I wouldn't say I'm more hungry than I was before, but I mean, even after watching that Last Dance with the Michael Jordan.
Yep, I just finished it last night.
Yeah. Oh wow, how ironic.
I wanted to binge it.
And so just seeing his mindset and stuff like that, like watching them, like, man, okay, I'm gonna take some of that and use that towards my approach to the game. But no, I wouldn't say I'm more hungrier. I mean, I'm excited to join the team and to kind of see how, I mean, especially in this city, like we're like the new kids on the block here. Everyone's excited. Everyone wants to come and see. So, of course, we want to perform and give the city some hope in a sense. But yeah, I think my hunger is pretty much the same.
That's awesome. One thing, I mean, I was thinking about this as we were sitting here. You've been able to play in a lot of different spots. You've been able to play for a lot of different coaches. What was the appeal, or if there even was one, to Vegas? Was there? I'm sure you had other teams at the table, but why did Vegas step out and stand out to you? I think
it's the same reason as why I joined Chicago. Like I saw even Jacksonville. Like I saw what Jacksonville was building there, and then it just so, I mean, we went there. The defense wasn't so good. When I left, we were top 10. But then that year after I left, like they should have won the Super Bowl that year. Like they lost to the Patriots in the conference finals. And then same with Chicago, like solid defense, saw a great defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio, and they were building something special. And then you saw my second year there, we got to get things going. We got everyone excited. Lost first round of playoffs. I believe we should have won the Super Bowl that year also. And then so now with Las Vegas, like number one, like in a great city, a city that loves football, a fan base that loves football. And then, I mean, you have a guy in Gruden who's been there before and done it and is trying to get there again. And then I feel like anytime you're talking about Super Bowl or anytime you want to build a team around somebody, you have to look at the quarterback. And I feel like we have an amazing quarterback in Derek Carr, who's a strong leader and who can lead us there. So those are some of the factors.
Last thought here before we let you go, Prince. As we're watching this season hopefully unfold, you're seeing more and more guys opt out. You're seeing guys saying they may not play this year. I mean, what do you think? You think that this season's going to hopefully get off the ground and roll, or do you think that we might run into some issues here with COVID?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely hopeful. I saw some quotes by Richard Sherman, who's with the 49ers, and he was saying, I think I'm kind of like leaning to what he's saying. Like he's saying that like 50 guys can get COVID, but dude, there's so many people on the couch or at home right now who's hungry. I think the owners are like, hey, let's just let's put him in and stuff like that. And so I'm leaning more towards that. Like I can see us playing, I can see us playing a full season, but I feel like there's always outside pressure, and I mean, the government can still, I think, put the kibosh on it and say like, hey, like we're gonna shut it down, or even just like the fan base. Yeah, I mean, so I think there's so many factors, but I think if it's left up to the owners, I think we're gonna continue to see ball. But like, we got tested today. This was the first time we reported. I got my my antibody. I'm not showing off my arms, but I had to get my antibody test. I had to get my antibody test. Also with the nose thing. The nose thing isn't. I don't think it's the brain scratcher anymore, because everyone called it that, but it didn't. I mean, I had big nostrils, but it didn't. It did not scratch my brain whatsoever. And so, anyways, while we were there, like the Marlins incident was being talked about amongst players. Like, hey, like those guys are not even touching each other. Like those guys are socially distanced on the field, in the outfield. Like if they're getting it and they're not in the bubble, and we're actually gonna hit each other and touch each other, and we're not gonna be in the bubble. So guys are just like trying to add things up and say like, okay, it looks like we're headed towards a disaster. And so, I mean, we're in an interesting time. It's going to be interesting to see.
Absolutely. Well, Prince, we appreciate you joining us here on Husker Huddle, presented by Sapp Brothers. At Sapp Brothers, the top priority is keeping guests and teammates safe. Sapp Brothers, offering full service at the pump, as our nation relies now more than ever on drivers and farmers to provide essentials to our communities. Sapp Brothers is committed to serving you. Prince, before we let you go here, man, anything you want to tell Husker Nation as they're getting ready to watch you this upcoming season?
I mean, I think just go Raiders, and I'm always gonna bleed red, and I'm excited for the Huskers this season.
Absolutely, Prince. Well, we appreciate you stopping by, and we'll make sure to catch up with you soon.
All right, thank you.